Cyber next to Chipotle. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So my neighbor, he used to be an IT1 there. He just retired 2 months ago, and I asked him about it. I was like, hey, I'm the project officer for a ceremony. I need, the color guard. He's like, yeah, man. So he hooked me up with a Lieutenant Lamb. He manages that team. So yeah. I heard. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure.
It's definitely good.
You got Durley pots? Yeah. I don't know.
I'm good.
Tell me
What
what to say and I can
instructions?
say it.
Online, and I'm managing the audio. Paul is here too. So. Oh no, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah. Well, that was Jay. He helped me with it.
So go down that hallway instead of go through the. He is.
Pastor in the house.
To where people can see what's going on. Yeah, those white ones you have to turn on separately. They don't just come on with everything else. All right, if you need something.
Thanks, Ryan.
We're getting ready to start.
Just kidding.
May I have your attention? The ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. All guests are invited to be seated. Please silence all electronic devices for the duration of the ceremony.
Stuart will be in the middle. Is that okay with you, Captain? Or do you want? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's sounds good.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chaplain Jadrian Haywood, and I will be today's Master of Ceremonies. Before we start the official portion of the ceremony, I ask that our guests please silence all electronic devices. Military members will follow my lead for honors and remain uncovered for the entirety of the event. During the national anthem, persons not in uniform should stand facing the flag with their right hand over their heart. Retirement ceremonies are a time-honored tradition that formally recognizes the completion of service for military personnel. They mark the departure of our shipmates who have faithfully and diligently served our country and the United States Navy. We are assembled here today to pay tribute to Lieutenant Commander Chaplain Robert Guilliams, who is retiring after 25 years of faithful and honorable service to his country. As I introduce the presiding officer, along with Chaplain Guilliams' family and our distinguished visitors, please hold your applause until all names are announced. Presiding over today's ceremony is Captain Clifford Stewart. Joining us for the ceremony is Lieutenant Commander Robert Guilliams' family, his wife Dee Dee, his kids Ashton Grant and her husband Garrett, along with Braley, Owen, and Tyler, his sisters Ruth Hood and her husband Chris, as well as Louise Cunningham, his nephew Luke, and his in-laws, retired Captain George Hawley and his wife Bertha. We also have several distinguished guests present today. Captain Mary Ellen Durley, Coast Guard D5 Chief of Staff, Colonel Jason Botts, Captain Richard Ryan, and retired Lieutenant Colonel Dallas Kratzer. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing through the rendering of honors, presenting of colors, playing of the national anthem, and the invocation. Side boys, post. Now, Captain, United States Navy, arriving. Now, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy, arriving. Color Guard, present the colors. 32, color guard, retire the colors. Please join me for a word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity and privilege of being here today. We praise you, Father God, for giving us so much to be thankful for this day. Lord, you've been beyond faithful and good and merciful to us. And Lord, as we reflect on your many blessings, we look specifically to the reason why we've gathered for this occasion today. To retire Lieutenant Commander Chaplain Robert Guilliams from the United States Navy. Lord, as your word clearly says, we accomplish nothing alone. So before we honor Chaplain Guilliams, we pause first to honor those who have arrived and who have carried him to this point in his life. First, his wife. We thank you for Dee Dee, for her love, support, dedication, and service to Robert and to our nation for so many years. Secondly, we thank you for the kids, for Ashton and Braley and Owen and Tyler, for their patience, for their resilience, and for their love for their father and understanding of his service to our nation. Thirdly, for the Roberts family, or for Guilliams' family, for raising him with convictions of faith, dedication, and loyalty, and giving him a firm foundation as a child by which he would build a strong and lasting career on. And lastly, Lord, to all the friends and mentors, leaders and comrades that he's come across along the way who have been a part of his story, we ask a special blessing over all those who have been wind in the sail of Robert over these last 25 years. And in conclusion, Father God, we thank you for Rob, for the wise counsel, the sound advice, and the constant source of encouragement that he has been to countless soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen along the way. We thank you for embedding in him the values of honor, courage, and commitment. For without you, Lord, we accomplish nothing of significance. Lead and guide Rob as he enters the next chapter of his life. Provide wisdom and discernment, and ask for him, Lord, to continue to be faithful to you first as he dedicates his life to you and your work. I thank you again for all that you've done and all who you are, Lord, and all that you will do in the future. It is in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you, and please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Clifford Stewart.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Great to be here today. It's especially good to honor a colleague and a friend. It's not every day we get to say goodbye or that we get to honor someone for a life of service to others. My job today not only is to hand out stuff to Rob, but also to introduce our guest speaker, Dallas Kratzer, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force retired. Dallas and Rob have known each other, I believe, 17 years now. You could say Dallas is largely responsible for getting Rob and that little course change that brought him to the Navy, to chaplaincy, to the Coast Guard, where Rob's leaving now. And so he's played a key role in Rob's life and the family, in Rob's family. So if you could please welcome Dallas Kratzer.
So there are stories to tell, lots of stories to tell about this journey, but that's for another time. We're going to talk about some other things first. Yes, I am Dallas Kratzer. I have had the great privilege to be Rob's friend and for Rob to be my friend. And Dee Dee, how we've spent time together as families and just all that's gone on. I am an Air Force guy. Did a little time in the Air Force. It was great. So Dee Dee's dad and I get along great with all that Air Force stuff, you know, after 20 years of service. The amazing thing is I get to talk about Rob's journey. And Rob, your journey has been unlike any other. You know, Chaplain, you talked about the next chapter. Most of us have small books that tell our life story. This guy is like probably going to be on chapter 10, 11, or 12 because just the adventure that he's had. And if you take your flyer out, you're going to see his bio and all the different things that he's done. Please spend some time looking at that because it's amazing. You know, Rob started off in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's going to be 52 next month. And in that time there, he had a family that's helped him. It's great to have his two sisters with us. What's even really special to me about that is you brought lunch. So looking forward to that Louisiana lunch. So that's awesome. It's great to have them here with you. I'm sure they have more stories than any of us can tell about Rob. So get with them during lunch and talk with them. And some of them, Rob might not want you guys to tell them, but go ahead and do it anyway, all right? You have permission. Probably the most influential thing that happened in Rob's life, I think, except the most key thing was coming to Christ and then marrying Dee Dee, all right? Dee Dee, you're awesome, okay? There's just no two ways about it. And you have helped Rob to be awesome too, all right? It is a collaborative effort. The military spouse is such an important part of our lives and under-recognized in so many times. They facilitate our ability to go out and protect our nation, serve our service members, and to do the tough jobs that others only dream about. So Dee Dee, thank you so much. You know, you guys got married in 95. And then shortly thereafter, not that shortly, it's a couple years, kids started coming along. Kids have a tendency to knock off the rough edges on us. And with 4 of them, Rob didn't have a lot of rough edges to knock off, but they can challenge you. So they've done awesome. Those 2 tall boys of yours, that's amazing, all right? But just the other things, you know, with Ashton doing college, Rayleigh's doing college, Owen just, you know, graduating. I remember the last time I saw Owen, he was about this tall, okay? He's about that tall now, so it's just amazing. You guys still have a little ways before you have the empty nest syndrome, okay? Because Tyler's just 14. But when you get there, it's a whole different kind of retirement. You'll get there soon. But let's talk about a couple of other things about Rob. Rob has been an academic. You know, this might be the 2nd or 3rd chapter of your book. He's done a lot of education stuff, religious studies at LSU, information technology, which I'm really not sure how that happened, a master's degree, being that you're all religious studies and everything is circled around that environment. But IT from Colorado Tech University, and then he went to the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, and graduated with his master's in divinity from there, which is awesome. This is sort of where we got our start. He's now pursuing his doctorate at Liberty, which just makes total sense, all right? You have the depth and rigor to do that. So I'm excited to see you moving out in that direction. 2025, he'll get that done. Yeah, we may have another event then too to celebrate. Yeah, yes. But the place that he and I met, we have a background with Southern Seminary, but we met because of his military service. Now, you'll see in his bio, he started with the Army, which was okay. You know, a lot of folks start with the Army, good stuff there. He did that for a while, but eventually he came to the Air Force, okay? What a great place to be, right? And this is where our career or our friendship started, because in 2006, Rob was a chaplain candidate with the Air Force Reserve. He was attending Southern Seminary, and part of that, he had to go to an officer commissioning school. OTS, or COT, Commissioned Officer Training School, was part of that requirement. And that's where Rob and I met, on a very warm day in Alabama. And I got the great chance to be his flight commander throughout his time at OTS. Now, it wasn't such a good time for him, but I had a great time with it. And little did you know, Rob didn't want me to be his flight instructor. They would bring us all into a room, and they'd say, okay, you're going to be with this flight officer and all this stuff. And yeah. Rob tells the story. He says, you know, I looked up there and saw all these folks, and I said, that's the guy I don't want to be with. But what Rob didn't know was I already knew you were from Southern Seminary, and the fix was in. He was going to be in my flight because I had just graduated Southern Seminary 2 years prior to that. So we tend to match people up when we know their background. And I continued to torment him for about 2 weeks before I let the cat out of the bag and said, all right, here's the whole story. And we had a great time after that, just really getting to know each other. It started our friendship. And in that friendship, we have moved on. When he finished the Air Force OTS program, it was really clear. Getting on active duty as an Air Force chaplain is difficult. And that's when we started talking about other branches. And I said, you know, if you can't be in the Air Force, well, maybe the Navy. It's the second best choice for an Air Force guy. It was an awesome choice for Rob. Because here's the unique thing. Rob, on his journey, has always done things differently. He has not followed the path. You follow the rules, but you don't follow the path that a normal person would take. This is the nature. This is how God has equipped him. He is very unique in the way that he approaches things. He sees opportunities where others don't. And once he started telling me about his opportunity in the Navy, being able to serve in the Marine Corps, which was a follow-on part of that Navy experience, and then to serve in the Coast Guard, I'm like, dude, you're going to hit all the branches. You are so unique. There is no one. Some people will serve in one branch their whole career. Some might serve in two. But dude, I don't know another one, and I will call you dude throughout this, okay? I don't know anyone else that's ever done all of them. And we're thinking, oh, this is great. He's hit all those branches, but yet there's still one more. Rob has served in the Civil Air Patrol as long as he's been in the Navy. Another great way to give back to our nation. Not only has he served our men and women in uniform, but he's helped develop the people around us, the young kids, through Civil Air Patrol, which is an all-volunteer responsibility. I hope you will continue that in retirement. I expect you will, because that's just you. You are a servant. You are a great servant. And God has used you in so many different ways to help others. You know, even during all this time of being in the military, serving Civil Air Patrol as a chaplain, I was stunned that you've had like 6 different titles as chaplain. How does this happen, okay? Again, unlike any other, Rob has done amazing things and will continue to do amazing things. He's been a principal assistant chaplain, a deputy command chaplain, and as a Navy Marine Corps guy, artillery battalion chaplain, all right? That's kind of weird. But even more weird is an infantry battalion chaplain, a command chaplain, and then now finishing up with the Coast Guard, which I left the Coast Guard out earlier, adding them in here now, as the district chaplain. Just very unique in how he has served, totaling 14 years of ministry in so many different ways. Thank you for doing that. There are few people that will serve even a handful of years, but you've done it for 14 years, 25 total overall, an amazing career. A little aside or a note to this, as Rob retires in October after his 25 years of service, your father-in-law will celebrate 30 years of being retired after 20 years. So it's a family rich in military tradition. Your dad was in the military. Your wife's father has been in the military, and mother, because when military spouse, you serve right along with them. You get to enjoy the deployments and all those things just as much as they do. So a great family of service. But, as you mentioned, it's time for the next chapter. And the next chapter is going to hold a lot of stuff for you. It's going to be very different. It's going to be unlike anything else that you've done. And in that, as you've served our military, you're going to change roles. You're going to be serving communities in a different way. Rob's done that while he's been in the military. He's been involved in churches outside of the military installation numerous times, leading, being integral in the ministry there. Thank you for doing that. That's what we are called as brothers, as Christians, to be servants wherever the Lord has planted us. So with that, I want to give you a little bit of advice, okay, maybe a little bit of a charge. As you transition to this next point, you have been a light for Christ. And I think that will continue. I know that will continue. That's your nature. That's who you are. And as you do that, know that there's going to be quite a difference, because in the civilian world, it's not like the military. We have a great family here in the military family. We have a great culture. Wherever you land, it's going to be different. Civilians are weird, okay? Just know that. They're different than we are. But that's okay. The Lord made them too, all right? And what you need to do, the advice is, think of this as another PCS, because that's all it is. You're not really retired. You're too young. I mean, you're coming up on 52. You've got more things to do. I retired at 52. Thought I was going to just kind of hang out. Did that for about 6 months and then started doing other things. I think you'll do the same thing, probably even less time, because you're always moving and shaking and doing things, all right? So it's a PCS to a foreign country. It's civilian land. And as you go off to civilian land, they're going to talk a different language. You'll have to learn their language. They wear different uniforms, so get used to that. Don't burn all your uniforms, okay? Keep a couple. You know, normally whenever I do a retirement thing, I tell them, you know, keep one uniform, and hopefully you'll be able to fit in it as you get older. It doesn't happen necessarily, okay? I retired 8 years ago, and it was like a year, and I could not fit back into the uniform, maybe 2. I'm not sure I want to tell you to keep one uniform for each branch, okay? You will need a complete walk-in closet just for what you've done, all right? And Dee Dee might want to get rid of a lot of them, I don't know. But not only do they wear different clothes, they act differently, but more important, on this PCS, this move to this new ministry area, there are no random urinalysis testings. There's no PT test, okay? All you have to do is wake up and fog the mirror, okay? He's alive. Know that, but don't get too comfortable. The Lord has work for you. And as you're doing that work, stay the task, okay? Take a little bit of time off, but get back in there. It's like any new command. You go in, you watch for 6 months what goes on, you learn from those around you, and then you step out smartly. Go where the Lord has called you to be and serve as he has called you to serve, just as you've done on all these other deployments, okay, or PCSs. Remember, you're in preferment, you're not in retirement. And what preferment is, once you retire from the military, you get to do what you prefer to do, not what you have to do. And that gives you a lot of freedom, because the other interesting thing is you're going to be able to decide where you want to be, how long you want to be there, which is very different from the military. Except Dee Dee has a big say in all that too, all right? Pick up a hobby. Do something you like to do. The EDD is not a hobby, okay? That's a goal, but find another hobby, all right? And it's going to be a great journey, just as you've already had. It's going to be awesome. So you'll have a great time. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you for serving our Lord, most importantly. You've been faithful. So I want to give you a lovely party gift from Kentucky, because a lot of this stems from Kentucky. Now, if you've been to Kentucky or Louisville, you know we have many traditions. We have many interesting things. This is not a bottle of bourbon, all right? So it's something a little different. And Dee Dee, if you'll come up here, Rob, if you'll step up here. So we're also the home of the my notes? I am done here. I'll turn it back over to you.
Will Captain Mary Ellen Durley, Captain Clifford Stewart, and Chaplain Robert Guilliams please step forward for awarding of citation?
Military personnel, attention to award. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal to Lieutenant Commander Robert Guilliams, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Guilliams is cited for meritorious service in the performance of duty as the Command Chaplain, 5th Coast Guard District, from September 2020 till July 2023. Fully leveraging a corps of 20 active duty and auxiliary chaplains, he led a robust religious program to meet the spiritual needs of thousands of Coast Guard men and women throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, enabling the highest levels of mission effectiveness. He and his team were available around the clock and providing 2,000 hours of empathetic counseling, greatly assisting others in the navigating of a myriad of stressors, including those associated with the COVID-19 global pandemic, where he oversaw the processing of 200 religious accommodation requests and advised commands on how to best assist those individuals during the process. A true team player, he eagerly covered an extended command chaplain gap at Atlantic Area and Training Center Yorktown. Demonstrating outstanding dedication, he also supported 400 ceremonies and trained 1,000 individuals on suicide intervention and life skills. A staunch champion of applied suicide intervention skills training, he gained Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard approval to require the training of part of the Chief's Call to Initiation, service-wide equipping frontline leaders with advanced suicide prevention and intervention skills. His dedicated efforts culminate a 25-year career of outstanding service to our nation. Lieutenant Commander Guilliams' dedication, devotion to duty are most heartily commended and in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. For the Commandant, Shannon Gilreath, Rear Admiral, United States Coast Guard, Commander, 5th Coast Guard District.
Thank you, and please be seated. Chaplain Robert Guilliams, please join me up front. Dee Dee, would you please join your husband on stage? Captain Clifford Stewart will now present a certificate of appreciation to Dee Dee Guilliams. The citation reads as follows. Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Navy. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Dee Dee Guilliams has earned grateful appreciation for her unselfish, faithful, and devoted service during her husband's Navy career. Her unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible her husband's lasting contribution to the Navy. Given this 7th day of July, 2023, signed. Ashton, Braley, Tyler, please be seated. And Owen. You should know of the grateful appreciation of the United States Navy to your enduring frequent separations from your father while he served his country. He often was required to do important Coast Guard work, which prevented him from spending more time with you. Come on up, guys. Which prevented him from spending more time with you. You should know that his successful career has been challenging and has required an unselfish devotion of service to others. He would have preferred to have been home more, but his outstanding work in support of our country was also very important to your future. Your understanding has been essential to his success. On behalf of the nation and our United States Coast Guard, I thank you for your support. Will Chaplain Michael Kuntz please step forward? Chaplain Michael Kuntz has a certificate from the North American Mission Board. It's a retirement certificate to indicate honor and distinction of Chaplain Guilliams' service to not only our nation as a chaplain, but to the Southern Baptist Convention. At this time, we would like to present the shadow box made by Chaplain Robert Guilliams' brother, Mr. Brian Guilliams. The tradition of presenting a shadow box to a retiring sailor is born of the British custom. In the days of sail when Britain ruled the seas, it was considered bad luck for a sailor upon final departure from a ship to allow his shadow to hit the pier before he himself had departed. In order to ensure no such misfortune would befall their shipmate, the crew would construct a box of the finest timber and place within it all things that reflected his accomplishments. Only then could the man, with the shadow of himself in hand, safely depart the ship and go ashore once and for all. It has been said that a shadow box represents a snapshot view of the career of its recipients, but it can be, and in this case is, so much more. From the design to the type of materials to the hands that carefully crafted this piece of history. The flag in the forefront signifies the ideals of the American way of life, which Robert has successfully and unselfishly given so many of his years to preserve. The collar devices show Chaplain Guilliams' progression up through the ranks. In the course of his advancements and promotions, he left a profound impact on those he has served with along the way. The medals and ribbons signify his accomplishments and contributions to this service. These are emblems of honor. Thank you, Chaplain Guilliams. We will now proceed with the flag ceremony to honor Chaplain Guilliams' service. Flag detail, commence the flag ceremony. Chaplain Wes Schultz will now read Old Glory.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of higher learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshiped. I am loved. I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Korea, Vietnam, in the Persian Gulf, and a score of places long forgotten by all but those who were there with me. I was there. I led my soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. I followed them and watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired. But my Marines cheered me, and I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries that I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is done by those whom I have served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth, and my vantage point is on the moon. I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour is when I am torn in strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the battlefield. When I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, my sailors, my airmen, my Marines, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the graveside of her fallen son or daughter. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave.
Captain Clifford Stewart will now present Chaplain Robert Guilliams' retirement certificate. The citation reads as follows. To all who shall see these presents greetings. This is to certify that Lieutenant Commander Robert Guilliams, having been retired after honorable service in the United States Navy, is awarded this testimonial as an acknowledgement of duty faithfully performed during a period of over 25 years. Done this day at Washington, D.C., this 7 July in the year of our Lord, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my high honor to present Chaplain Lieutenant Commander Robert Guilliams, United States Navy, retired.
I was going to try to do it off my computer, but luckily I printed it out. So, this has been a long time coming. I lost count a very long time ago of the number of retirement ceremonies that I have participated in over the years. And those ceremonies have really been a highlight of my time as a chaplain. I love doing retirements. I love being able to be there to see people honored as they close out one chapter of their lives and move on to the next chapter. One thing I've learned from watching and listening at so many of those ceremonies over the years is that I need to have my remarks written out, or else I'm going to forget somebody, forget to say something, or just break down and not be able to say anything at all. So, here goes. Every retirement ceremony is a little bit different, as it should be, since every retiree is different. We've all taken a different path to get to standing here. No two military careers are the same. And I think you've seen and heard already today that mine is a little bit more unique than most. I was looking back, I put on my first military uniform in 1985 when I was a freshman in high school. I was in Army JROTC. And as you've heard, as you've read in the bio, I went on to serve in the Army, the Air Force, the Navy. As a Navy chaplain, I've been with the Marines and now the Coast Guard. I was trying to add it up the other day. I was looking at all the different uniforms. I was trying to add up everything that I've worn with all the different combinations and variations of it. And I think I've worn somewhere around 40 different uniforms over the years. I probably missed a couple in there somewhere, but Dallas said something earlier about Dee Dee giving me let me have room in the closet. We actually, the house that we moved into when we moved here has 2 walk-in closets in the master bedroom. She gave me the bigger one just because of all my uniforms. Yeah, just looking at the number of uniforms, I brought my nephew in to see him all the other day, and just thumbing through all the different uniforms. It was just, I was thinking, this is ridiculous. It's just too many uniforms, even for somebody in the Navy, because the Navy has far too many uniforms, all right? And they get expensive. But as I've been telling people leading up to today, I'm not entirely sure what God wants me to do after I retire. All I know is that he's told me it's time to do something in civilian clothes with a beard. So that's what we're going for. But after all this time, don't think that the uniforms are going to go away. Like Dallas said, I'm still in Civil Air Patrol. I'm still a Civil Air Patrol chaplain, and Chaplain Stewart, among others, is trying to get me to sign up for the Coast Guard Auxiliary Chaplain program. So there will likely still be uniforms in the closet. It's just not going to be the day-to-day wear anymore. So that brings us to the reason we're here, retirement. It's been a long time coming. As I was looking back over my career, it hit me that December of this year will be 30 years since I signed my enlistment papers to join the Army. I walked in that recruiting office, signed the papers, and dropped out of college. And as Dallas said, there's been a whole lot of education since then, but that was the beginning of that career. A whole lot has happened since that time, and there are a whole lot of people that I need to thank for their part in the journey that has brought me here today. First, I want to thank my fellow chaplains. There are so many that I've served with over the years, but there's a few that stick out. 3 in particular, Jerry Durham, Rich Lee, and Rick Williams. The 3 of them and I were with the Marines in Hawaii together, and we all replaced each other on deployments to Okinawa, and we've all kept in touch over the years since then. But the 3 of them really helped me get through that assignment. They helped me get through the test and the board and everything to get this FMF pin. And they really helped me learn what it truly means to be a chaplain. So, Rich, thank you, my brother. And Jerry and Rick are not here today, but Kim, please tell Jerry thank you. To my Coast Guard chaplain colleagues, Wes, Stephen Lonclo, Patrick Fleming, Mike Wise, and Jeremy Sampson. Wes, I worked alongside him being at land area. The other 4 there were my active duty, the guys that I supervised here at the district. And then Lee Farmer, John Radisey, Daniel Vinisar, and Ken Wacklow, and a whole host of other auxiliary chaplains. You guys have been awesome to work with. You've taught me how to be a better chaplain, and you've helped me learn how to be a better supervisor. And for those of you under my supervision, hopefully my fumbling attempts did not cause you too much pain, too many problems. But to you, I say Semper Paratus and go Coast Guard. Chaplain Stewart, we first met when I was deployed to Okinawa. And for some reason, you took an interest in my career, and I want to thank you for everything that you've done to support me over the years since then. I was incredibly excited when I got my orders to D5. I saw that Chaplain Stewart was going to be the land area chaplain, so he was going to be my supervisor. And it has truly been a pleasure working for you as my supervisor, and more importantly, working with you as a colleague and a friend over these last 3 years. Thank you. And I can't forget one last chaplain and his family. Steve and April Chapman and their kids, Faith and Connor. Steve and April are watching from literally halfway around the world. They just got stationed in Korea. So they're either watching right now via the live stream, or they're going to watch it when they finally get out of bed. But our families have been wrapped up together ever since we were stationed in Hawaii together. And even though we are die-hard LSU fans and they're Alabama fans, I don't think we can ever get rid of them. So we love y'all, and go Tigers. A couple other people that I forgot to put in here, but I see them out in the crowd. Josh and Patricia Calandra, and Keith and Robin Moon. We were all in Hawaii together. Thank y'all for being here. I went to Josh's change of command just recently, and he mentioned, you never would have thought that we'd be stationed in the same location again, but God has different plans sometimes. We left Hawaii, they went to Italy, they went back to Hawaii, but here we are all together again. So thank y'all for being here. Michael and Janet Koontz and their son TJ that came with them. We've only known y'all for a little over a year, but sometimes, guys, God brings people into your lives, and it's like you've known each other forever. And that's what he did with us. So, even though we're not in your region as the chaplain ambassadors, so NAM has ambassadors that kind of do pastoral care to all of our chaplains. And Michael is not officially my chaplain ambassador, but thank you for making the trip out. We really appreciate y'all coming out, and it really means a lot to us. And I hope we get to hang out together at SBC events for years to come. Dallas, there he is. We started off pretty rocky in that hallway there in Maxwell, didn't we? But I think things turned out pretty well. And I want to thank you for everything you taught me both there and since then, and more importantly for the friendship that developed once we got back to Louisville. Thank you so much for coming out. I couldn't think of a better person to be the guest speaker at this. To mark the end of my Navy career, couldn't think of a better person than the person that swore me in to start it. So God just kind of keeps putting the two of us together, so I can't wait to see what else he has in store for us. To my church family here at Nansemond River, there are too many people here to name everybody individually, but I want to say thank you to all of y'all. We started coming to this church just toward the end of what was a very rough assignment for me. I was hurting, I was burned out, and I needed to rest. Sorry, I knew I was going to do this eventually. This church family took us in and reminded me what a church family is supposed to be, and helped me to get back you enable me to get back to helping my sailors and my coasties. So thank you for what you've done. I need to mention one last person before I move on to my family, which is going to get really hard. My project officer, Jacob Gonzalez, he's been invaluable in putting this ceremony together. The rather non-traditional ceremony that we have here. But he has been a godsend. When I was talking to him and he told me he's done this before, I was like, please help. So thank you very much, and thank you, Amy, for letting me borrow him for a little while. Now to the family. Like I said, this is going to be the hard part. George and Bertha. First, thank you for letting me marry your daughter and take her all over the world for the last almost 28 years. Thank you for the example that you have set of what a marriage is supposed to be. And thank you for showing me that retirement from the military is not only possible, but you can make it pretty fun as well. My sisters, Louise and Ruth, and my brother-in-law, Chris, and Luke. Luke, what's up, dude? Thank you. And my brother Brian back home, hopefully watching this right now or watching it later on. Thank y'all for coming out. You don't know how much it means to have y'all here. And Brian, for the box, it is absolutely beautiful. Thank you. I couldn't have done any of this without y'all, without your support. I wish Mom and Daddy were here to see this. I know they would have been so proud, but it means a whole lot to have y'all here. And now to my kids. Sorry, letting them pass the tissues. Ashton. Personality-wise, I think we're the most alike. We're both stubborn, and whenever somebody says you can't do something, we both take it as a personal challenge. We're like, oh yeah, watch. But you have far outstripped me in your artistic ability, in your creativity. And I want you to keep it up because I know one day we are all going to be buying your books if you will ever let someone read them so they can get published. And Ashton's husband, Garrett, thank you. You've been a welcome addition to our family. I want you to, I know you are an academic as well. You love studying. Keep studying, and I have no doubt. We were talking about the number of degrees he's wanting to get. I have no doubt you're going to end up getting more degrees than anybody knows what to do with. Thank you for loving Ashton. And even though, like I said, she's a whole lot like me, so I'm sorry about that. Braley. We have said since you were very little that you lived in Braley world. And to some extent, you still do. She's kind of off flighty a lot of times. But that's not always a bad thing. And I can't wait to see you put some of that world up on the big screen for everybody to see. Owen, our sports-loving, Rubik's cubing, juggling, accent-talking big teddy bear. That's what he is. You're going to do great things out in Colorado for the next year, and then who knows what God has in store for you. Military, college, ministry, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I know you're going to meet every challenge the same way you've met the ones that are behind you. Tyler. Tyler is our comedian and entertainer and video game player. I have no idea what you're going to end up doing with your life in the future, but I know whatever it is, you're going to have a whole lot of fun doing it, and I would not be at all surprised if you find a way to make a whole lot of money playing Xbox. All of y'all, all four of y'all have rolled with the punches of military life, with all the moving around, all the changes, all the leaving friends behind. Thank you for being flexible as we moved you around all over the place, and for actually enjoying all the change, or at least being good enough at pretending that you fooled me into thinking you enjoyed it. All right, now to the really hard part. Dee Dee, the love of my life. You told me when we were still dating, that night, almost 30 years ago, when I signed those enlistment papers, that you had always wanted to stay in the military family. Well, you did it. You get to keep that ID card for the rest of your life now. I absolutely could not have done any of this without your love and support and your cheerleading over the years. You make me so much better than I would be on my own. I don't know what God has in store for us next, but I'm glad that you will be right there beside me, whatever that is. I love you. And I've got a couple of gifts to give out here real quick. All right, and with that, I'm going to wrap this up and sit down. I want to thank everybody for being here today.
Senior Chief Kyle Holbrook will now read the watch.
Thanks, Chaplain. You ready, Chaplain?
Probably not.
Let's do it. For 25 years, this sailor has stood the watch. While some of us run our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Yes, before some of us were even born into this world, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this chaplain, this shipmate, this friend stood the watch. Many times, he would cast an eye ashore to see his family standing there, needing his help, needing his guidance, needing that hand to hold him in hard times. But he stood the watch. He stood the watch for 25 years. He stood the watch so that our families, our fellow countrymen, could sleep soundly in our beds at night, each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today, we are here to say, shipmate, your watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you've trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved because we have the watch. Bosun, stand by to pipe to the side. Shipmate, going ashore.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the reading of the benediction and remain standing for the departure of the official party. Chaplain Guilliams will now read the benediction.
So, this has been a very non-traditional ceremony, just like my career has been. And traditionally, there's another chaplain that does this, but I held this privilege for myself. It has been my tradition over the last few years at retirement ceremonies to reach back to the heritage of my ancestors, and I offer this traditional Irish blessing. And so now, one last time, I do
Side boys, post. Now, Lieutenant Commander, United States Navy, retired, departing. Now, Chaplain Robert Guilliams, United States Navy, retired, and family, departing. Now, Captain, United States Navy, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this now concludes the retirement ceremony. On behalf of Chaplain Robert Guilliams and his family and the entire command, I would like to thank you for attending. Please join Chaplain Guilliams and his family for a reception in the fellowship hall. We have a Louisiana-style luncheon prepared for you, and please follow the hallway straight back here and to the left, and you'll find the fellowship hall. Thank you. Good day.